to celebrate literally like the Latino Renaissance and us powerful women. Yeah. All right, and with that being said, I do want to go through each one of us. What does the Latino Renaissance mean? If you want to start.
Giving me the pressure. Hi, everybody. I'll do a quick intro as well. My name is Evelia Torres, and I am an entrepreneur. My business is De Mi Tierra. It's a natural skincare line that pays tribute to traditional Mexican skincare rituals. I am here to take skincare back to basics, just like my abuelita, using only earth-made ingredients that are found throughout Latin America. So to answer your question, the Latino Renaissance means more, it's a movement. I feel like it's an awakening within our community, within our generation, both as I'm a millennial, I come from Mexican immigrant parents, and it's really an awakening for me. I'm also a mother. I have 3 daughters, so I'm raising the next generation of Latinas. And I want them to grow up being proud of who they are, understanding our history, understanding where they come from and why they're here, and why their mother's working so damn hard every single day to make a future for them. Thank
you. My name is Tanya Lozano. I'm the founder and CEO of Healthyhood Chicago. Healthyhood is a social justice organization. We're a health and wellness-based organization in Chicago. There's actually a 20-year life expectancy gap between communities of color and affluent white communities. It's actually the largest life expectancy gap that exists in all of the country. Because if you're from Chicago, then you know that we're historically known to be the most segregated city in all of the country. You know where the Latinos live, you know where the Black folks live, and everywhere else, right? And so disparities are just magnified here. So Healthyhood was really created to provide lifestyle guidance and preventative healthcare to our community so we can prevent our people from getting sick in the first place. I would say the Latino Renaissance for me is a culture shift. I think Latinos have always been rich, and when I say rich, I mean there's an abundance of skill and talent and just like ideas and creativity. And I think for the first time in a long time, the rest of the world is starting to catch on. And so for me, the Latino Renaissance is not just who we are and who we've been, right? Because this is nothing new for us. We've always had the best artists. We've always had the best creatives. But now we're the influence, right? Yeah, and the best food, exactly. The best culture, I would say, right? So now it's our turn to influence the rest of the world. And I think it's happening, right? We see like Bad Bunny and we see our Latino artists really like become these global sensations. Because like I said, the rest of the world is starting to catch on. But we always knew that. We've been here, okay?
Hi, everybody. My name's Alba, and I'm owner of Flores by Alba, a flower shop that I started from home. For me, Latino Renaissance means that our generation gets to speak for our parents. For the communities that are immigrants who don't have a voice, Little Village, 26th Street, who live in the shadows because they're scared. I think Little Village has been known to make the same amount as Michigan Avenue, I believe, right? Or more if that, I'm not sure with the percentage. But our generation is coming in strong. We get to speak for them. We get to have a voice for them, for our parents, for immigrants, for Leti and Teo, Floridia Gardenia, who taught me everything I know. And I know I'm getting emotional because I'm mad, I'm tired of living in the shadows, you know? And I know you guys feel it too. I know Ruben, we've had conversations about that, how it's not our year, it's our century. They're catching on. Yeah. Ito no more. We get to speak, we get to take back our food, back our culture, we get to fight back and just talk more, communicate. This networking that we have here, all these women talking to each other, we get to call the shots. We get to be like, I get to stay home from a maternity leave, just like my girl Juanita from Dulce Bella Sweets. she gets to call her shot. She gets to choose not more than 6 weeks to stay at home because she started her business. She's doing things through CASHDROP. She gets to do all that stuff from home and be able to give time to her kids, because being a woman and running a business, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And we're here to speak up on it. Yeah. It's hard on our children, it's hard on us. And yeah, I have my husband and I have my in-laws to help me, but I'm here to make it known that we are here to stay. We're here to get our money, get our coins, and stop giving your money to the rich folks. We no longer need to do that. Give our money to the Latinos in our community. Yeah. That's what Latino Renaissance means to me, for us to be able to talk more to each other and stand on each other's shoulders instead of, hate on each other and push each other down. It's okay. There's gonna be people we don't like down the road, and that's fine. We're just moving now. Keep walking and get out of my way. Let's just keep going. But if you're here to work and you're here to show up for the community, then let's do it together. Hold hands and walk down Little Village and Pilsen and Cermak too, as much as it's going that way, So we're here to represent the community. Shout out to all the Latina moms out there. I know many of you, and I could call you guys out right now, and it's just crazy. I can't. It's too much, and I love you and I respect you for that, because it's hard. And we were just talking about that earlier, right? How it's hard to just be a CEO and entrepreneur. There's so many hats to us. That we're artists, we're workers, we're voices to the people that don't have one, who don't have one because they can't speak the language yet, because they don't give us that education, they don't give us that opportunity. So we have to be able to speak out on that. Yep. And with the nudo in the garganta, but that's because I'm speaking out of heart. That's because I'm speaking for those who can't speak. And we're gonna take this whole thing that we're doing here in 2 years. It's gonna be double, triple. Everybody's gonna wanna come into CASHDROP, and it's gonna be hard for them to get in because there might not be enough spots at that moment, but we're gonna make the spots. We're gonna make the seats. We're gonna get the table for us. You see those tables that Ruben got here when there's no one here? We're gonna have those tables for everybody, those seats for everybody, for our nieces, for our cousins, for our kids, for our kids' kids, for our grandkids, all of them, And I'm happy to be sitting here with y'all because I follow you guys and I met you at the Remax event. You spoke so beautiful, and I follow you since then. And thank you for what you do. Thank you for speaking out, and you for taking it back to the natural, to the flower, to the root. Lovely stuff. I respect y'all.
And I honestly don't think anything is new, we're finally just getting the credit for it, And then as moms, I really don't know how you guys do it. You guys are all leaders, and I'm in a leadership position. However, as a mom, that's a whole different struggle, I will say. But yeah, I was having a conversation today, with somebody else, and they told me, we were talking about, what does it mean? Why are we here? Our parents, our grandparents struggled, and now we're here, so they've already done so much for us, and now it's our time to keep moving forward, Exactly. We always want to be the role model. I always say, I want to be the role model I didn't have growing up, because I didn't have anybody else that looked like me, guiding me. So it's all about, being that role model and being who you wish you had at the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
There's a saying that I heard someone say recently, and it goes, our ancestors survived so we could thrive. And that just really spoke to me. And back to what you were saying, it's really also important that we are the people that we wish we had, but we also it's really as equally important that we put ourselves in situations that make us uncomfortable and put ourselves in new rooms and demand attention, because change really happens outside our comfort zone.
We're literally doing it right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally right now.
I'm nervous as hell. I'll be cool.
All right, I'll start with you, Alba. You went ahead and did this amazing ofrenda. Let's talk about that. By the way, this is, I'm Mexican. We all are over here. But this is the first time I actually go ahead and practice the tradition.
Yeah.
And so, like, tell us more about the ofrenda. Where did you pull from? What inspired you?
Well, with the ofrenda, I go back with my mom. When we were younger, she would always put that up. She would always have photos printed out. I think it's a whole, like I posted something yesterday where I said something around the lines where it's a whole new generation. And for some people, it's probably the first year. But it doesn't mean that we get to mock them or be like, you're not Mexican enough, or what would you know about that? This is something that represents the opportunities for us to learn and to grow and to teach those traditions. So like I said, again, for me, my kids are my center of my world. So for me, it's like, that way those traditions don't get lost. You know, we research, we have the world in our hands, in our phones. So we have no excuse to be like, what does the salt mean? Or what does the water mean? Or why do you put a favorite food? Or why pets? Or, you know, so we have experiences like this where we are in a network where you could ask me, hey, why did you do that? Or what represented? And it's just a way of us to teach each other these new cultures and continue them so that our kids can go ahead and do that. Like you said, what did you say earlier? To teach, you know, and to show and to bring back our roots and things like that. So I think I made this in honor of everybody who has lost somebody, because eventually we will lose somebody who we love, and this is a way of showing respect at least once a year if you don't do it throughout the year.
Definitely. All right, Evelia. So you've been extremely successful in leaning into traditions of the Mi Tierra. What does support of the community mean to you?
Oh my gosh, it means everything. You know, I'm driven. I said this earlier this week to my family. I'm driven by three things, and it's not money. It's my family. I want to be the change that I want to see in the world. My daughters and my community. You know, I'm speaking from an entrepreneurial side and a beauty space, right? As women, we all use beauty, right? Makeup, skincare on a daily basis. And we are one of the largest consumers of beauty products. And when I was developing my products, I realized that there wasn't any products. If you go today, go to Ulta, Sephora, Target, tomorrow, whenever you go, you will not see any products that speak to our ancestral roots, to our ancestral remedies, to speak to us within our culture. So the community is what drives me every single day, because I want to see my community represented on shelf, even with something as simple as a skincare line, but it's more than that, right? It's for the next generation of Latinas. To really understand their heritage and be proud of it, right? Because abuelitas always had, I grew up with all these homeopathic solutions to skincare, to ailments, to stomach viruses, to colds, to things like that. But we come here, we become westernized, right? We start to, you know, medicine and drugs and all these things to kind of cure these ailments. And not only that, you know, that's besides beauty, but when you look at beauty, it's very Eurocentric, right? Like L'Oreal, Paris, Lancome, right? It's all very Eurocentric. You look at the ads, you look at the magazines, you look at the commercials. When do you see a brown and black girl? I mean, now they're doing it, right?
They're catching
on.
on.
Right. But if they're going to do it, they're coming from a culturally appropriating place. It's not someone that's genuinely coming from that culture that's trying to seek that representation, you know? So community is my driving force for every decision that I make.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And representation really matters.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And everything that you do, you eat, you see, it matters. And it's time. It's time.
It really is. And then now, like I will say more and more, we're seeing role models that actually look like us now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right. So going back to you, Alba.
Uh-oh.
So I know you use CASHDROP. So what has your experience been with the platform?
So when I started with my little store at the Berwyn shops, I was a little worried about what I was going to use. I didn't want to lose sales because I didn't have a POS system. I didn't know where to get my card reader from. I know I had to follow you guys and been stuck with you guys for a while, but I wasn't using a card reader yet. So then I figured, you know what, let me just give it a try. You guys honestly reached out so fast. You guys shipped me that card reader like in like 2-3 days. It was in my front store. It was in my front store like literally in 2-3 days, and I was scared because I was like, what am I gonna do? It's like a week till we open, and but no, honestly, you guys have been so helpful. Just on Sunday too, my card reader wasn't loading, and who's gonna answer? What bank's gonna answer you on a Sunday? Like,
Who answered you on Sunday?
Betsy. Shout out to Betsy. What's up, girl? Like, I had Sempasuchi sale all weekend. I've been at this since like last Tuesday. My hands are broken, but Betsy like honestly pulled through. She was like, oh, what's wrong with it? Press this, do that. Da, da. In like 2 minutes, that thing was on. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, but any bank, it's not gonna open on a Sunday and go open your store and be like, oh, it's okay, we got it. They're gonna put you on a hold. They're gonna be like, press numero dos and la 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 la. And then I'm like, literally grab my phone, went to the app, shoot a message to Betsy. Betsy's like, what's wrong? I got you. Okay, done. It was fixed in a matter of 5 minutes. My freak out was literally 5 minutes long because you guys were right there. I probably would have lost sales on my Sempasuchi. I probably would have been really upset, but no, not you guys. You guys honestly pulled through, and that representation in the moment, that matters to me too, because I could easily have been like, yo, Betsy, help me. And she was like, okay, cool, I got you. It's more like working with your friends and family, or like primos and cousins that are there to back you up, opposed to having to be, yeah, you guys are professional. I'm not gonna deny that, but I'm saying like, it feels comfortable coming to you for help, opposed to like, damn, I'm bothering them. They're never gonna answer me, or me van a molest. They're gonna think, oh, you wait there till Monday and we'll get back to you. No,
we keep it real. We don't just work 9 to 5.
I'm sure Betsy would have driven down there if I wasn't pressing the right buttons.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, thank you for that. I was really freaking out, but 5 minutes, that's all it took.
For sure. All right, Tanya. All right. What does community activism look like to those who want to join and don't quite know how to get started? I know you're big in the community and activism, so enlighten us.
Sure. So when it comes to getting active in the community, I always say you don't have to start from scratch, right? One of the main principles of activism that I've incorporated in my life is to revolutionize your current practice. Don't start something new. Don't say, oh, if I want to get involved, I have to go volunteer or I have to do this. Like, find a way to do what you do for the community, right? Because if you do what you do, then you know you're going to do it well. You know you're going to have fun while you do it because it's your passion. The community that's receiving those services or that kind of vocabulary, language, whatever it is that you give, they're going to receive it better because they know that it's coming from a space where you're genuine, right? And then I would also say, I think we can get caught up, especially in capitalism, which is our reality, right? Even though I don't like it, that is our reality. And I think a lot of times in capitalism, we can get caught up in the narratives that are fed to us through the systems. And one of those narratives has always been for the Black and brown community is that representation is enough and that all you have to do is be an example and that's enough. Giving back to your community, right? That's enough. But the truth is representation is not enough. What we need is entrepreneurs, people who have resources, skills, and talent to pour that back into their own community. If you have to give back, that means you left, right? So if you're starting in a place where you are finally gaining resources, and resources is not only money, resources is skills, it's talent, it's knowledge, right? Make sure that that is being poured back into your community. That doesn't mean necessarily the neighborhood you came from. Just as long as it's a community like yours that has people that grew up like the way you did, that you're making sure that those resources are getting poured back into that community and that you're an active member of that community. And so like I said, that doesn't mean like make a lot of money and then pour it into charity, right? Like charity does nothing for our community. Have you ever heard the motto, you give someone a fish, then they eat for a day, but if you teach them how to fish, they eat for a lifetime, right? So if you give somebody charity, does that change their conditions? Absolutely not. That just helps them for a day. But then they wake up the next day and they're hungry. Make sure that you're investing your money, especially if it's money that's going into charity, into organizations that are on the ground doing real work, that have real relationships with the people. And the only way you're gonna do that is if you actually care enough to do that work. Make sure you're talking to the owners, the CEOs, the executive directors, to the volunteers, so they can give you real life experiences. So we're not continuously throwing money into organizations that do not change the conditions of our people. Does that make sense?
Be present, right?
That's right. I've always loved what you do for the community. Goes back to your mom, you know. I'm very familiar with your mom. And even through the pandemic, honestly, like you helping, like you starting, we got us, you know, because we do got us, you know, we do everything for each other, and that's what community is.
And no one's here. No one's gonna come save us.
No.
Exactly.
Nobody's gonna come save us, guys. Like, we are here to save each other. Remember that. And be there for your brother. Be there for your brother and your sister. Don't think that someone's gonna sit here. Don't become the victim. Don't sit there and try to see, well, this is happening. No, find the solution. I'm having this problem. What's the solution? Think of 3 things that are gonna help you solve that. You know, it's so important to just reach out to your brother and your sister.
And the greatest part of it all is, as Latinos, that's what we do.
That's what we do.
When you think about, like you said, 26th Street makes more money than Michigan Avenue. You know, like, it's not like what the system will teach us is that we don't have enough, and that we have to wait on policy change, or wait on government, or wait on people in positions of power to come and change the conditions of our people. But especially Mexicanos know better than that. We can create the conditions for our people ourselves. We don't need to wait on nobody. We got everything we need. We have an abundance. And that's really what it is. And as soon as we stop falling for that okie doke, the quicker we rise. And we're starting to see it right now. Like, the younger generation is starting to remember, number one, where we come from and how rich our history is. And then number 2, that we have everything we need. We have everything we need.
That's right.
And speaking of needing help, I literally reach out, and here you guys are. All right. Evelia, you were the winner of the Builders in Public prize of $10,000.
Yes.
What have you been able to do with the winnings for your business since then?
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, Ruben had his first Builders in Public event back in late August, where he gave small business owners in Chicago the opportunity to win a $10,000 grant. And I was here in competition among some amazing, honestly, I ain't gonna lie, Ruben, I was super intimidated. When I was here, you know, there were some amazing founders that had already built multi-million-dollar companies that were here pitching, that I was competing with as well. And I remember that day, you know, going back to how I was feeling, we were sitting in the car I was sitting with my husband, he's right here, my biggest #1 supporter. And he, you know, I was practicing, I didn't know how it was gonna go down. Like, I don't know if I was practicing my pitch. And he's like, all right, are you ready? Are you scared? He asked me that specific question. He's like, are you scared? And I said, no. I'm like, you know what's scary? You know what's really scary? Were my parents, when they were teenagers, my mom pregnant with my brother, he's standing right there with glasses. Raise your hand, Sergio. With my sister, Lorena, she was 3-4 years old, right there. And my sister, Sandra, which is also here, she was a few months old, trying to cross that border to make a better life for me. That's fucking scary.
Yeah, say that.
That's scary. So when I walked into those doors, I said to myself, I'm gonna walk out of here with $10,000, babe. I swear to God. And I did. Thank you, Ruben. Ruben, where are you? Te quiero mucho, te admiro mucho por todo lo que estás haciendo. This right here is what this is about. It's more than money. It's about building community, creating a table, because there's a table that has not been built for us. We have historically not been allowed to think bigger. So we are here to think bigger and do bigger and dream bigger. So, but But to answer your question, so that was 2 months ago, and I still have most of it. I'm trying to be, hear me out. No, wait, hear me out. You know, money, listen, no, I'm here to, money, you know, to Tanya's point earlier, you know, capitalism could be a little evil, right? Money is sometimes frowned upon. Especially as a woman, if you're out there trying to seek more, you're trying to create something, we're looked at as bossy, or we're looked at as bitches, right? But we need to teach ourselves and teach our daughters that these are leadership skills. They're leadership skills. So we're here to use money as a tool to do things within your community, within whatever you're trying to build, right? As a tool to build up your community. So that's what I'm trying to do, is use it as a tool. But I did spend a little bit. There's this summit that happens in California, and it's called the We All Grow Latina Summit. And for the past 4 years, I've always wanted to attend. It's a very expensive ticket. It's $1,000 just to attend this summit. Plus airfare, hotel. So it's a commitment, right? I'm a mom of 3. I had to leave my kids. But I knew that I needed to put myself in an uncomfortable situation and be amongst other chingona Latinas that are doing and building things in our community. Oh my God. I fucking bought that ticket the next day. No, and I went. And let me tell you, everything that you do in life is a ripple effect. As long as you're intentional, as long as you do things with purpose, and as long as you believe, because everything starts with the belief. It starts in your mind first. Our mind is a powerful, powerful muscle. And as long as you believe in it first, the universe will conspire, will put people like Ruben, places, people, things in your life to make things happen. And I went and I met so many women. I have hired a consultant on my staff that recently built another brand similar to mine. She's in Nordstrom, she's in Credo Beauty. This woman just raised $2.7 million for her company. And when she met me and she saw what I was doing, she's like, Evelia, are you ready to become $1 million brand? And I said, yes, let's go. And that's that's what this opportunity cause, is that ripple effect of just giving me another opportunity to put myself in another room with other people that are also, again, building the table for us. So I'm so grateful for that, Ruben. Thank you.
As all Latinas in leadership, speak to the little girl that didn't have that leader, that role model to look up to. What would you tell them?
You know, when I was younger, my sisters are here to attest, I was very quiet. Very quiet. I was an introvert. And I also grew up in Little Village, right? So growing up, you know, my dad worked in a factory his whole life. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, but she was a hustler. She sold Tupperware, she sold Jafra, she sold Avad. I mean, she did what she needed to do. She sold that gold. I was down Wabash Avenue. My mom would carry thousands of dollars worth of jewelry in her bag while we rode the CTA bus back to Little Village. I mean, my parents figured it out, you know.
Mexicans really hustle.
Shout out to Kika, because she had a similar story, so that reminded me of her too.
So I would if I were to go back and tell me anything, I would give her a big hug first. And I would say, use your voice. Your voice is powerful. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to again, put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Seek new opportunities. And just elevate your voice and elevate those of the community around you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we're speaking to little us?
Little us, yes.
Oh, like little me. Okay, so I would tell little me, it'll all make sense. All the things that you're going through, all the relationships you've been in, all of the bumps in the road, it'll all make sense. I I think so much of why our community doesn't heal is because we don't understand like the trauma that we go through, especially as people of color in this country. And I wish that the healing process was introduced at a younger age, especially for Latinos. I think the mental health, like, you know, the mental health topic has become a hot topic recently, but for so many generations, especially our parents and grandparents, it just wasn't.
It's like non-existent.
Estabas loca.
Yeah, and I think like we talk so much about generational trauma, but we don't talk enough about like generational value and generational like knowledge. I think so much about like just everything my grandfather was telling me at such a young age. Half of this country was Mexico, you know, they stole it from us. Like thinking at that age, like, oh, it's just something my grandpa's saying, and then growing up and be like, no, he was teaching me. He was trying to keep this in the memory of his people so that we wouldn't forget that this happened to us. And by doing that, he empowered me. He empowered me to, number one, be proud of who I am, and number two, understand that as a people, we don't take no shit. Right? And we still have Mexico, we still have our country, even though they tried their best, you know? And then he also told me that the Alamo was really just two Mexicans with a knife. And they beat them. But I think I would just tell myself, like, it's all gonna make sense when you get older. Like when you're going through it, when you're young, like you don't get it all the way. And when I say young, I mean like even in your 20s, like you do crazy, stupid shit in your 20s, and those experiences actually shape you as an adult as you get older. And so, yeah, that's what I would say. It'll all make sense.
So
Be too little, you Alba.
So when I was little, I never knew what I wanted to do. I know they would ask me, but I always be like, oh, a fashion designer or an artist, a painter or something, right? And I went through life switching. I do balloon decor. I used to do cakes before. I'm a florist now, but if I could go back, I would just tell myself, el arte nunca te falla.
That's true.
Whether it's music, whether it's poetry, whether it's painting, whether it's sculpture, whether it's flowers, whether it's, I don't know.
Your passion.
Yeah, your passion, designing, whatever. El arte nunca te falla. It's there on your sad days. It's there through music. So el arte nunca te va a fallar. And everything's gonna be fine.
I would tell little me, you know, it's gonna be okay. You know, a lot of things were like new to us, you know, being first generation. So just pull through,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and it's all gonna be worth it in the end.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
gonna work out.
Amen.
Yeah. All right. So we do have a big announcement after this. Hi. Does anybody have any questions that they want to
Yeah,
ask
we'd love
us?
to answer
we have
questions.
like 5-10 minutes. You guys want to ask any of us?
There's a hand.
I see a hand.
All right.
So my niece is a freshman in college right now, and we don't have any women in our family, especially women who are doing the things that you guys are doing. Just one quick thing I can tell her.
I would say you're not walking alone. I know in those, like for me, I went to a 92% white college, and that was my first time ever being around white America. Before that, I went to Benito Juarez, I went to Ruy Lozano School, and it was all Latinos, some black folks. And so that was my first time going into a space where it was like a lot of white folks. And I remember feeling so alone and going through the like culture shock, you know, like calling my mom, like the food sucks here. There's no seasoning on it. Like, what am I supposed to do? I don't have any friends, whatever. And I would go home every weekend. And I feel like if somebody would just tell me like, even when there's nobody in the physical there, like you have your people with you, you walk with your ancestors' power, and they literally died, blood, sweat, tears, so that you can be there right now doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
And so just know that even if the whole school doesn't notice your power, you have to harness that. You have to know that that's what you walk with. And that'll help you pull through. If somebody would have told me that, I probably would have finished college.
Can I ask you something, if you don't mind? Do you have immigrant parents? tell her that que la cruzada valga de algo.
Exactly. Yep. You know, I have a saying that I say all the time to myself, and it's, I didn't come this far to only come this far. You know what I mean? And also I would tell her to not, I don't know if she goes to a predominantly like white school, but I did as well. Yeah, I had culture shock. I was like the only brown girl in my business classes, like,
Wait, what did you say? Yale? Wow. Flex. That was a flex. You said she's at Yale? Yeah.
Oh, you missed it.
Hey, she got to graduate.
She's
for all
already
of us.
winning.
You know what? That's
She'll
a
be
really
up here in a
more
couple
important
of
piece of
years.
information. Tell her not to assimilate. What's her name? What's her name?
Her name is
Isabela. And her last name?
Barbosa Rodriguez.
Barbosa Rodriguez. So when someone asks her, what's your name? Que lo diga.
Yeah.
Que lo diga. Like my
Completo.
name. When someone says, what's your name? I don't say Evelia Torres. Evelia Torres.
Period.
Like, learn how to say my name.
And if they mispronounce
Period.
it, tell them to correct it.
And
That's not my name.
Who you
But that
talking
is
to?
amazing. That is amazing. Yeah.
Nobody has questions? There you go.
I'll ask a question. You all had your own businesses right now. If you weren't running the business that you have now, what's another business you want to start or would be running instead of what you have now?
A boutique. Probably a boutique.
You're
Shoe store.
manifesting this, and it's going to
Shoe
happen.
store, boutique, maybe like a music school, even though I don't know how to play, but I love music. An art school, sculpture class for, I don't know, just hire people to run it, you know? Just make a pyramid out of it. I don't know, a lot of things.
I really want to start like a kids concert company. Like
very nice.
concerts for kids, you know what I mean? Like I feel, cause we have 4 kids, my partner here and I, we have 4 kids. Yeah, we got a lot of kids, we got a lot of squinkles. But yeah, like I feel like I love live music. I'm a live music
And you're a
head, you know?
dancer,
And I'm a dancer,
too.
correct. So I feel like as a kid, wouldn't you want to go to a live show, like live music, but it's like Moana songs.
Yeah.
You know, or like Coco songs for Day of the Dead, but like it be for children and look also and then there's, you know, alcohol for the parents. You feel me? Like
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
maybe some infused drinks. You feel me? Let's make it a real party, bro.
Concert daycare.
I know, right?
I need an investor.
He goes out of the blue.
Once,
He's like, I don't got no kids, but I got you.
el padrino.
He has kids. He has him.
El padrino.
Him.
You can count on Ruben to get any party lit.
I've always had, like, I feel like entrepreneurship is something that you're kind of born with. And as my husband, I have ideas probably every day, right? Like starting a business. But going back, you know, as a mother and as a Mexican mother, one thing that I still want to do to this day, I'm trying to convince my sister here because she's a teacher, is having a Spanish school. You know, we see other cultures like, you know, like the Asian community, Polish community, they have these programs after school to keep their culture alive. And unfortunately, we don't have that here in the city. So that's something that I know is needed. And I'm still hopefully one day soon we'll have a cultural community, but more than a cultural, like a Spanish kind of after school a program where our kids could go and really learn Spanish, learn how to read Spanish, speak to other kids in Spanish, and I mean a fully immersed Spanish curriculum, because unfortunately even the schools here in Chicago, they're selective enrollment, they're super hard to get into if we even want our kids to have a chance in these schools, and that's not fair to us, that's not fair to our community. So that's something that I hope to do. Lorena, Sandra, where are
Good
you?
question.
That's what we need to do.
Good question.
Yeah.
So in Chicago, I feel like
of success, then I'm not going to help anybody else. What advice do you have for those who are creating, respectively, successfully? And how do we change that narrative back to like collaborative work and community collectiveness?
I always say, like, it's a phrase in Spanish saying hoy por ti, mañana por mí, which is like today for me and tomorrow for you. So you just never know when you're gonna need the help. It takes a village to do all this.
It really
You
does.
need to help to promote your business, to support your business, to just like Tana says, get involved in your community. You literally, if you don't know two of your neighbors, then what are you doing? You know, I literally bought the Cresta de Gallos from my neighbor instead of buying it from the vendors because I knew that her as an elderly lady puts a lot of love in her garden. So just get to know your community and get to, even if you have nothing to do with what your community has going on, events, show up, put yourself out there. And for example, myself, I was able to get a position in the Berwyn shops because I went to a Dia de los Muertos last year for the ofrenda, and I donated $100 or something like that, and showed up, not like you said, not just give them money. I showed up and I made myself present and I met everybody. Thank the ones who were throwing the event because it takes an effort. It takes a village to do it and to keep our traditions going. Last year, I was part of the Villarte, which is an ofrenda walk down 26th Street. I didn't have any sponsors. I put maybe like $500-600 out of my pocket, and I made a beautiful ofrenda in front of one of the Michoacanas, right underneath the arch, the Little Village Monumental arch. And I wasn't expecting people to pay me or anything. I just made myself present because I wanted to be able to keep the tradition going. And now here I am. I was commissioned by Ruben and CASHDROP, and with your help, and you have to get involved. You have to get to know your neighbor. And I'm not saying literally your neighbor, I'm just saying people in your town. Yeah, just if you don't know your neighbor, if you don't know their name, then you're not doing it right. You know, you have to know this person who has 2 kids, or they have a dog. If you see the dog loose, hey, your dog got out, go knock on the door. You left your garage open, put your car inside. Literally, my neighbor the other day, he left his, what is it called, babe? Car jack? In the alley. I was like, yo, they're gonna steal your thing. I was gonna go around and knock on his door. You have to be that. You have to give more than what you get.
It's a whole community.
The universe will take its course and give you back in bigger ways. Just it's a whole community.
I would say, ask Ruben, if we start to value relationship before we value profit, relationships will
Always
naturally
win.
bring you profit.
Yep.
You just have to like care enough to actually get to know somebody. And you know, white folks are taught this really young. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And if you think about it, as Latinos, at least I could speak from my Mexican experience, you know, like as families, we stick together. And the more we stick together, the more progress we see. And if we think of the whole Latino community as our family and we got to stick together, then we'll progress a lot faster.
I was just
but we have to value relationship because, again, capitalism will trick you, especially in Black and brown communities. Like, hustle for yourself. Get yourself to where you got to go. Get yourself up out the hood, right? It's always just me, 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 me. Mm-hmm. But if you got something to sell and you ain't got no community to sell it to,
right,
how you going to make no money?
Yeah.
Right? So you need people. You need people. If you're a teacher and you ain't got no students, then you really ain't no teacher, right? So it's really all about community. You have to value creating and sustaining healthy relationships.
Absolutely.
And that means you don't go into a relationship with agenda. You go into a relationship with, let's get to know each other. Let's see if our values align, and then let's work.
Whatever you do, don't go into it by saying, what am I gonna get out of this? Go into it and be like, what can I give? You know, what can I do for you? How can I help here?
Yeah.
For sure. As a community, we're definitely stronger together.
Absolutely. And,
Yes.
you know, I just want to add one last thing for those of you that are entrepreneurs here or creatives, or, you know, I'm sure a lot of us have been asked, hey, how do you do this? Or how do you do that? Or who did you reach for this? Right. And initially, sometimes even as a culture, we're kind of like, wait, I worked my ass off to get here. I ain't going to share this information. But we got to change that narrative, because even myself, I follow a lot of other entrepreneurs on social media, and a lot of them bring this up. And they kind of vent, and they're like, you know, I worked hard to get to where I'm at, so I'm not going to share, you know, easily my resources. And I kind of I frown upon that, because like Tanya said, like, we're not going to progress as a community if we're not going to help each other out. And that doesn't mean, like, you can't see other people as your competition. I'm in skincare. Go to skincare aisle today. There's a ton of competition there. But did that stop me? No, because guess what? No one's Evelia Torres from De Mi Tierra, right? No one's Alba, right? No one's Tanya. Like, no one is you. You are uniquely you. So use all these opportunities to help your neighbor out.
Spread your sazon around.
Yeah, so if you take anything from me today is if you get that call, if you get that message, you get that email, you get that text, help people out. Because that's the one of the ways that we're gonna progress, to Tanya's point. Mm-hmm.
All right, one last question, and really quick.
One last question?
Yes.
Okay, asterisk, even yes husband. I know, that's just to the panel. Because, it's very difficult as a business owner, and especially as a female owner, to get funding or any sort of grant writing, so meticulous, so much time spent on it. I mean, what would you all do? What do you all recommend doing as far as like funding, like to get your business from here to here?
Right.
What would you say to somebody in the small business space?
You have to do the work. You have to do that time-consuming process. I won a grant for Latinos Progresando, and I had to put myself in the front of a TikTok video that I didn't want to do. The deadline was a Wednesday. No. It was like when I was barely like putting myself out there. No, I was barely putting myself out there. The deadline was like midnight, February something, and I literally do it at 7 p.m. before midnight, and I put a TikTok talking about why me and blah, 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 right? You have to do the work. You have to do that big profile. Right now, that's what we have to do. So then the next ones don't have to do that, and we could just give our money to who we believe deserve that money.
I would say create the demands, build a team, and don't sweat turnover. Create the demand, meaning start and make sure that you're built a community that actually wants your product or your services. And that means, like for me, I started teaching Zumba literally for free in the beginning just so I could build the clientele. And then after I created the demand, which meant like I had 60 comadres coming 3 times a week to my shit. Then after that, it was easy to build a team. It was like, look, this is gonna be profitable. This is gonna be a good resource to the community. If you're passionate about this, come help me out. I ain't got no money in the beginning, but you know it's gonna make money because I already created demand. And then again, don't sweat the turnover. You're gonna have a turnover of employees, a turnover of team members, a turnover. It's not personal. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Don't sweat it. Just make sure that you got somebody next up, that you're creating systems so that they can plug right in where the other one left off. But yeah, don't sweat it. I definitely took a lot of those turnover things personal in the beginning, and that was a huge mistake and a waste of energy. I love everybody that left. I love y'all, but I definitely shouldn't have spent so much time on it because I could have been using that time to put somebody on that was more qualified, more passionate, better for the job.
Yeah, I mean, again, to Alba's point, like you have to like really put yourself in these situations and find these opportunities because there's a lot of money out there, guys. There's a lot of people, again, that are willing to help and resources for you to really get your idea off the ground. And don't think that you need a lot of it either. I started my business with $500. And it's just it's snowballed after that. And then really educate yourself. Like, I know nothing about venture capital and VC funding, but guess what? Ruben does, right? Ruben does. I don't need to be an expert in anything. Now, I'm because of this community, I could reach out to Ruben and say, Ruben, I want to scale and I want to scale big. Like, what do I need to do? How can you help me prepare to really grow my business? And another thing that I'm doing currently right now, if you guys want to support, is I am crowdfunding. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that as well. With I Fund Women, my husband here is advocating for me to do that as well. So, so yeah, I mean, just go out and like Alba said, you have to do the work. The information is out there. You just have to go and get it and really work hard to get these resources to you. So I would appreciate your support.
All right, ladies, I do want to thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for being here. Seriously.
Thank you, Liz, for calling and allowing us this platform, Ruben, to share our stories. And again, I'm an open book, so any other female entrepreneurs or anyone here really that would love to like pick my brain, vamos un cafecito, let me know. I am more than happy to be an open book for you guys.
Thank you so much.
Give
All
it
right,
up
guys.
for Liz for moderating.
Yay.
Period. She did her thing.
Shout out for Liz for throwing this big event.
Tentación